creative community. I'm Cheyenne Cleveland. Thank you for joining me on my journey to becoming a self-published author. As always, I'm giving you answers to questions that I've already asked so that you don't have to. Today, we are going to be talking about self-publishing your book and what you need to do from conception to publication. So grab a pen, grab a pencil, open up that notes app, and let's get started. When I first decided that I was going to self-publish my book, I was really overwhelmed at what needed to be done in order to get the book printed. So I did some research, and I also looked up other authors who had done the self-publishing thing before. I bought this really helpful book called The Indie Authors Book Launch Workbook by Erin Phillips. And in here, she gives a lot of helpful tips and tricks on how to run an author's social media page, what you might want to offer for advanced reader copies. In this book, she has lots of worksheets, expense trackers, pretty much anything that you can think of for an indie author. It's in this book. There's lots of encouragement in here too. Now, looking at this version of a self-publishing checklist, I decided to make one that was more relevant to me. And this checklist covers everything from that first idea to clicking that publish button. So I simplified everything and put it onto one sheet of paper so that you can literally check off boxes as you go and think in terms of months to publication rather than seeing everything all at once. So on my self-publishing checklist, I break everything down into 3 sections. The first section is going to be your first steps. Some of these will be things that you've already done, like formulating an idea for your book. Maybe you even have a manuscript written at this point. Referencing my first YouTube video, I'm always going to say that it's so important to understand your author why. If you don't know what I mean when I say author why, feel free to go to my channel, watch that YouTube video, and I guarantee you it will help give you the longevity that you need on your journey without getting discouraged in the process. Okay, so boiling it down to the nitty-gritty, some of the things that you're going to want to do is select the genre in which you want to write. So whether that's going to be a romance novel or a fantasy novel or a sci-fi novel or a thriller or a mystery or historical fiction, whatever it is, pick a genre for your book. Start brainstorming ideas. Take notes, make an outline. Now, some people really like to work off the cuff and just start writing and see what happens from there. But I would like to encourage you to have at least a simplified outline on how your story is going to land from point A to point B. It doesn't necessarily have to go through all of the details in between, but you should at least have an idea of the monumental moments in your novel. I personally don't overplan my book because I like the freedom of being spontaneous while I'm writing. But I think if I didn't have any structure, my story would just sound a lot like rambling rather than being something that my readers want to read and keep reading. Okay, so once you've done that and you've made an outline, make sure you understand that it needs to be flexible. You want to have a flexible outline. Tell yourself it's okay to veer from the original idea. Sometimes you're going to have a brand new idea that's so much better than your original idea, and you don't want to restrict yourself from making a good decision because you're so committed to your original idea. Now it's time to write your first draft. And I make a note in my self-publishing checklist that this can take years to complete. No matter how long it takes you, finish it. Set yourself some writing goals. Sit down once a week. Sit down twice a week. Sit down every day. Whatever it is for you, make a pact with yourself that you're going to get it done. Now that your first draft is complete, it's time to edit your first draft, which might actually mean rewriting your first draft. This can be a daunting task. It's also helpful to have someone you know read through it and give you some insight and tips. They might help point you in a direction that's better or help you refine your ideas into something that's a little bit more specific. Also, in this first stage, you're probably going to redraft your work more than one time, so don't be discouraged if you have to redraft a third time. On my checklist, I have room for draft 1, draft 2, and draft 3. During this phase of publication, yes, even though you haven't done anything to publish your book, this is still a phase of publication. And during this phase, you're going to want to start saving money for the expenses for the book. So whether or not that means setting aside money in a piggy bank on your dresser or opening up a separate bank account for your work, make sure that you start setting aside some money for all of the expenses that are going to come up in phase 2 of publication. Speaking of phase 2, the next steps you're going to complete happen about 6 months to 12 months before you publish your book. This is where things start getting exciting. Number 1 in this section is to connect with other writers, whether that's in your local community where you live or online. Connect with other writers that are in all of these different phases of publication. Maybe they're people who have already published a book. Maybe they're people that are in similar steps as you, or maybe they're people who just have the idea fresh in their mind. I personally believe that it is very vital to connect with people who are on a similar journey as you. So whether that's joining a community class or club at college or meeting somebody online, make sure you make time to form community during this phase of publication. This is also the exciting time when you can send out your manuscript to beta readers. And I would suggest that if you don't hire a developmental editor at this time, you definitely should send your manuscript to at least 1 or 2 other people to look over with a critical eye and give you feedback on your work. If you have enough funds at this point to hire a developmental editor, you will not regret it because they are going to see the connections in your arcs or the disconnections in your characters, things that you didn't pick up on while you were writing. Having somebody look at your manuscript with unbiased opinion will be more valuable than gold. And I would also say learn to love criticism. Learn to love it, because when somebody critiques your work, it's not because they don't like what you're doing. It's because they want what you're doing to be better. You're also going to work on your author bio and possibly your book blurb at this point. So maybe while your beta readers are looking over your manuscript, you're going to take some time to type up your author bio and write a blurb for your story. You can also start researching cover artists at this time and people you want to start talking to about designing the cover of your book. If you want to, you can also start a social media page where you start sharing your progress and where you are in your story. And this can help create some traction for your story before you publish, which might be beneficial for marketing if you already have a solid base of connections for potential readers. Once you get your book back from your beta readers or your developmental editor, you're going to want to rewrite or edit your novel again. Don't worry. Editing is a never-ending process, but it is something you will never regret putting the time into. Now we're in part B of phase 2, and this is the 3 to 6 month range before you hit publish on your book. You're going to decide on the details of your book, the dimensions and the book size of how you want to print your novel. You're going to send your redrafted, rewritten manuscript to your line editor. You might also want to send portions of your book to your cover designer, because then they can get some inspiration for how they want to depict your book on the cover of your novel. At this time, it's also important to look into an ISBN number for your sales. If you are publishing on Amazon Direct Publishing, the number will be included for you, but if you buy your own, then you can also print copies of your book to give to local stores in your community. So I would suggest getting your own ISBN number because then it allows more room for flexibility for sales. At this time, you're also going to sign up for a Goodreads account, an Amazon Direct Publishing account, an Ingram Sparks account, wherever it is that you're planning on publishing your book. You're going to set up your accounts in this 3 to 6 month range before you hit publish. This will also be the time where you format your novel for publication, or hire somebody to do it for you. Now, hopefully you've made enough connections within your community during the first part of phase 2 to know who to ask to do formatting, cover design, and editing. But if you haven't, there are places online where you can hire somebody to do the work for you. Places like Fiverr or Guru or Readsy are all helpful resources for indie authors. Once you get your novel back from your line editor, you can upload it into the program wherever you're publishing from, and you can request a proof copy at this point, which is exciting. Proof copies can be used for you to make sure everything is lined up right, but they can also be used to be sent out for other people to read in exchange for a good review on Goodreads or Amazon or wherever it is you will be publishing. At this point, you're really going to want to send those advanced reader copies out, set up some promotions, maybe even consider doing a paid ad on social media for your book, and doing exciting things like revealing your cover design and maybe some character art. Now we're into the last phase of publication, which is within that 3-month mark before you hit publish. You're going to get your manuscript proofread. You're going to upload that final copy of your manuscript, the one that's been formatted, the one that's been proofread, the one that you've poured your heart and soul into. It's finally getting uploaded online. You're going to set up pre-orders. You are going to publish, and then you are going to celebrate because you did it. You have become a self-published author, and you should definitely do something to congratulate yourself for making it through this long, grueling process, because you have made part of your dream come true. Now, if you think this self-publishing checklist will be helpful to you, I'm going to provide a link in the video below where you can download a copy of this self-publishing checklist to use, and hopefully it will help you on your journey to becoming a self-published author. If you thought this video was helpful, be sure to click subscribe and follow along so that I can help you on your journey to becoming a self-published author. Until next time, happy writing.